Hola amigos, buenos días. Nos encontramos en el episodio de hoy en donde tenemos el grandísimo honor de contar particularmente mi atleta favorita de Games, con la mayor experiencia de la gran mayoría. El día de hoy está con nosotros Samantha Briggs. Para las personas que van a verlo, vamos a tratar de dejarlo subtitulado en YouTube. Pues esperemos que lo disfruten. Y esta es Sam Briggs. How are you today?
I am good, thank you.
I don't think you need any introduction for the people watching us right now. There's a lot of people in Latin America actually that are your fans. So we gather a little bit of questioning for you to teach us a little bit about your experience. So let's start with this. What did you do before CrossFit?
So I was a firefighter back in the UK. And I used to play football or like soccer for Americans. And then when I retired from football, I started doing triathlons, but still being a firefighter. I always worked alongside like the sports that I did.
Were you competitive?
I was like semi-professional football. I never good enough to be in the like top leagues, but like I was like decent level. And then the same with the triathlons, I was a good amateur. So I did like the age group representing like Great Britain, but I was never good enough to become a professional.
Really? Well, that's
just kind of at that level where I was like good, but just not quite good enough.
Do you think, like right now that you see all the potential that you have had, do you actually think that you were not good enough, or were you not as focused as you were with CrossFit? Because it's so hard for me to believe that you were not good enough at sport like the triathlon, when we in CrossFit know you like a machine, especially in that kind of workout.
I think it was just more that, especially growing up, I did a lot of different. Sorry, the dog's just...
No worries.
Especially growing up, I did a lot of different sports. So I think that maybe I was never meant to kind of like focus. I was better at doing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, growing up, my sports were very varied. I played football, rugby, like did a bit of swimming, ran cross country, raced mountain bikes. It was like anything that I could do that was kind of outside and just kind of kept me busy was what I like to do. So in essence, it probably prepared me well for CrossFit.
Yeah. How did you find CrossFit for the first time?
So I was just going to a normal like global gym. I was going to Virgin Active. And I would do the workouts that were printed in like Men's Fitness magazine.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, well, it was kind of CrossFit style workouts, but like you don't know any different. And one of the personal trainers there actually went to a box in Manchester, and he was like, I think you'd like this thing called CrossFit. So originally I started doing it to become like stronger for being a firefighter and stronger for the triathlons. And it worked. Like my times on the triathlons were getting a lot faster just through doing CrossFit training.
All right.
But then I got to my first games in 2010. I was like, no, this is so much than triathlons.
Yeah, I know. But like when you got to your first games, were you trying to get to the games, or was something like happen organically because you were so good at it from the first time?
Yeah, it was just organically. So a few of the people from the gym that I went to in Manchester were going to, it was the UK and Ireland sectionals at the time. So this was before the Open. And so they were like, come on, it'd be really fun. Come and do it. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll see if I can get the time off work. So I went down, and so I won the UK and Ireland sectionals, and that qualified me for the European regionals, which was in Sweden. And so I competed against Annie Thorisdottir for the first time. And I finished second at regionals to Annie. And so qualified for my first games. I was like, oh, okay, this is getting serious now.
And now tell me something. Now you've been around forever, like since the sport pretty much started. You've seen the evolution. What do you think about it? Like seeing it from outside, everything that's been so different from the seasons and the way that they have developed to this point. What do you see in the evolution of the sport?
I think things like needed to change. I think 2019 was definitely not the right way of like changing things. I think this year was getting better. I think we got some good representation from like different areas around the world. I still think it can be done a little bit better, but hopefully this is going to be like the new style, the new kind of like evolution. Hopefully we'll see like maybe a few more semifinals just so we can get some more diversity. I mean, I think it showed it. America got 4 semifinals, so they had the biggest amount of athletes at the games. But if you looked at the top 20, 11 of those were from Europe.
Yep.
It's like, so there should be, I think,
more spots.
Yeah.
What do you do differently? Like if you were the owner of CrossFit, let's go there. If you were the owner of CrossFit, what would you do different to make it a little more, I don't know if I should say fair, but maybe just how it needs to be to get to a more professional kind of sport?
So I liked the idea that you get a percentage of people that sign up for the Open, go through. Like, I think that's good because you're getting a fair representation of like the number of participants that are taking part in the Open. So to maybe make it fair, more fair along the lines of who's actually performing well at the Open. Okay, you take, so going back to how it was like 10 years ago, if Tia, Annie and Laura have placed at the podium, they still have to do the qualification process next year to prove that they're still legitimately
enough.
Compete. But then we go back to the idea that they don't take a spot. So like if Tia goes and competes in the semi-final in Australia, she wouldn't take a spot. So Australia would qualify 4 people. And then like Annie and Laura are both from Europe. If they both prove that they're fit enough, Europe would get an extra 2 spots. So
that's I think a great idea.
I think they've proven themselves by stepping on the podium. And as long as they're showing that they're fit enough to compete again, like the next year, so they can't sandbag it. They can't just like, oh, I don't need to do the Open. I don't need to do this. They can save their fitness just to peak for the games. Yeah. They still have to do the qualification period process, but then
they don't take a spot
of somebody else who's coming up who should be at the games, but isn't getting to the games because every year the like top athletes are still taking spots.
Exactly. I agree completely. And now tell me, you were again at this CrossFit Games. What makes you still trying to do and try to go for individual when you clearly could be winning masters? I mean, I think I know the answer, but I'd like for you to describe it. What makes you compete and go back again and again as an individual?
Well, one reason that I still like compete and train like I do is I just love like pushing myself and testing myself. And even though now the challenge isn't to podium at the games, it's a different challenge. It's like, okay, I'm going to be 40 next year. Can I still make it back as an individual? So it's just a different challenge, but it's still setting myself like a huge goal.
Yeah.
So
I think like when you're an athlete, you can't just train to look pretty. It's very hard. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not nearly at your level. And if I don't have a goal, it's like I don't feel good just training to get good glutes. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the reasons why some athletes really just can't fully retire or come back even, because I think you kind of get addicted to the process even. So my question is, how do you stay motivated? Because I know that's super hard for a lot of people, especially when you're like, I know a season for an athlete is just not the same as a normal person. You have to say no to a lot of things to focus on this. And I know you're a very smart person in terms of training. So as you age, you have to change a lot of things. How do you stay motivated to keep doing this at the level that you're doing it? Because it's not like 10 years ago that you could like maybe do a class and still get to the games. Right now, the competition is really, really hard. It's people that are 24/7 training and living for this. So you can't, as you say, you can't just sandbag it and I'm at the games again. Let's just do it. Right now, it's actually really hard to get there. How do you stay motivated?
Oh, I try and make like training as fun as possible, so that I enjoy like the process. So like ultimately, like if I didn't make it to the games, I wouldn't see it as a wasted year. Like the games is just kind of like a bonus at the end of the year. So I try and like set myself little like targets or little things like throughout the year so that the games isn't just kind of like the focus, and try and do some like fun things in between. So I'm going to do the Rogue Invitational. Awesome. So right now my motivation and everything is like training for the Rogue Invitational. Hopefully next year we're going to put a team together because I enjoy doing team like off-season stuff. So hopefully we're going to go to Wodapalooza on a team.
That's awesome.
So I get to do some fun stuff. And then after Wodapalooza, we have a month before the game season starts. So then it's just like, then the turn and the switch gets turned. It's like, right, okay, now we're focused on the games.
Does it help at all that your partner is also involved in the same things that you are doing? I'm saying this because I've seen like some of the competitors that are now retiring. It kind of seems like they have a partner that is not related at all with CrossFit. So I don't know if that's helpful or it creates more stress.
I think it's definitely helpful in the terms of they understand what you're going through. So my partner's now in real estate. So she retired last year during lockdown. And so if she has like other events and she's like, oh, I've got this like social event to go to, do you want to come with me? And so if I'm saying no to stuff, they understand.
She doesn't get mad and crazy because you're not joining. Yeah.
Whereas I think sometimes it's a little bit difficult if somebody hasn't lived that life, they don't understand that you can't have a late night tonight. You can't like do that. And so I know then, and she knows if it's like, I would like you to come to something, then it's more important. And it's like, okay, we'll make this work.
Yeah.
So you
can prioritize. You kind of compromise in certain things, right? Yeah. All right. Now, another thing, as you grow older, you have to change a lot of things in the training. I've listened to some of your videos and see what you've done. Can you take us through all the changes that you have got to make as you are growing older and trying to stay at this level?
Yeah, I think like one of the most important things is like sleep. As you get older, that becomes more important. And then as like your career progresses and stuff, you'll pick up like little things. So a lot more movement focus, kind of like the rehab stuff. Just you can't, like when you're young, walk into the gym and just start training. You have to have like a really good warm up.
That's so true and so sad. I know.
I mean, like you see,
you can't even do a squat without weight, just like that. It's like, I gotta take my time because everything is cracking right now. I know, it's so sad.
Yeah. So definitely like good warm-ups and just good kind of like movement focus. And then it's kind of like taking away the focus on maybe the weights you're doing or stuff like that. And it's more about the effort you're putting in.
Yeah.
So you're trying to achieve stuff by like how much effort you're like perceived rather than it being like, oh, I've got to hit a 1 rep max today. Okay, like I like the word heavy single, like because every day is going to be different, and sometimes you're going to not feel as good training as you did another day. So just kind of like changing things like that. And one of the biggest things that I've like changed is just the way that we do our planning for the season. So my training at the moment is always in 3-week blocks.
Okay.
So it starts a little bit easier. We have a moderate week and then a really hard week, and then a little bit easier, moderate week, hard week. I just feel that I recover better. I can work hard for 3 weeks and then restart, build up, restart, build up. Some of the training blocks, like 5-6 weeks, I just find that I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really strong. And then all of a sudden, oh, my knee's gone. Oh, my hip's gone. Oh, my shoulder's gone. So it's like I start to feel really good, but then that 4 or 5 weeks, and then I'm like, no, something feels injured. So the 3 weeks tends to like has worked really well with me.
And you do 1 week of resting is 1 week of doing nothing, or just mobility?
No, it's just easier. So like, so say
like a deload.
Yeah, like a deload. Yeah. So the snatch weights will start lighter, the squat weights are lighter, and then the next week we increase the reps or the weight, and then the third week's like the most intense week, and then it's just kind of like a reset.
Do you coach yourself right now? Do you do that whole programming yourself, or do you have a team behind you?
I work with a coach back in the UK called James Jousey, and I worked with him 2011 to 2014. And then when I was living out in the States, I stopped working with him just because I wasn't in the UK. And then when I needed shoulder surgery in 2016, I started working back with him. So I've been back with him since 2016.
How would you describe a good coach? Like for the experience and all the people that you've worked with, how would you describe this is a good coach? What are the characteristics that are most important for you?
I think that somebody who's going to listen to you and take the time to get to know you as an athlete, rather than just giving you a program and everybody else is doing the same thing, because not the same thing doesn't always work for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's somebody who's going to take the time to like get to know you and know what you need as a person. And I think somebody who's more concentrated on your journey rather than your placings.
For sure. Yeah. All right. What do you think that is about this sport that keeps you coming back? Because I've realized that it becomes kind of a toxic relationship, because as you say, some days you just get into the gym and everything hurts, but you just feel like you have to keep coming back. It's like kind of a toxic relationship. So what do you think? What keeps you coming back?
I think it's a little bit of a crazy sport, so we all must be a little bit crazy.
For sure. For sure.
So we need it in our lives.
For sure. What do you think you have a best and worst moment at the games?
Ooh. Like this year or like in all the
years?
Just
in general. Yeah, just in general.
Well, worst is in a moment that I learned a lot from. In 2013, so it was the legless rope climb workout, the first time that legless rope climbs have ever been at the games. And I always kind of like put blinkers on and stick to my own pace, do my own like race. But that workout, I could hear the announcer saying where Elena Fortunato was. And we raced each other instead of like listening to our own bodies and knowing what we were capable of. We tried to race and we both failed on the same rope climb, and we both didn't finish that workout, and we should have. That was workouts that we
you were the best at. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So that was definitely
it's funny how that happens, right? Like sometimes when you know it's a workout that it's almost meant for you, and you let the emotion take the best of you, and it goes all the way around. But it's good, as you said, you learn from it, because some people kind of just fall and think that the road to success is just pure success. And it's very cool when people like you talk about this and talk not as a failure, but something that actually you learn from. And what about your best moment?
Oh, I have a lot of moments that I've like that stick in my mind as like good moments. I think as far as like the best memory would probably have to be the first event at my first games, just because that was when I fell in love with like the sport, like to compete in the sport. Just walking out onto the tennis stadium in Carson, and there's all the like spotlights on you. And I did terrible on the workout, but it was just
the emotion.
Just that feeling of being there and being like, wow. And like I'd done a lot of team sports, so I'd like competed in arenas, but it was always like part of a team. So I was in there like by myself. I'm like, this is all on me. This is all like what I've got to go and do. And I was like, yeah, I want to like come back here next year. This is me. I'm CrossFit.
Yeah, I know. Is it different? Like you've competed in other things. You've competed in a lot of things. Do you think the emotion of competing in CrossFit, is it different from other sports?
Yeah, I think the crowd's a little bit different as well.
It's more fit.
So I think unlike a lot of sports, so like for example, like football, you get people going to watch football. Some of them play football, but a lot of people just enjoy watching it. Whereas I would say like 90% of the people who go to watch the games all do CrossFit at a box, all do CrossFit in their garage gym. So it's a little bit different. You just have like, I think, a bigger connection with people.
Yeah, for sure. I have a question now about these games in particular. What did you think about it? I think it was for me as a spectator, of course. It was very emotional for starters. I never cried before so much at a games, and I'm not even there. So that's a first. You had a whole lot of work. That's another thing. COVID got a lot of good people out of the race, and a lot of people before, like something that had never happened, had to withdraw from the competition. So what are your thoughts on these games?
I think the games for an athlete being there was like one of the best kind of like atmospheres in a long time. I think with COVID last year and a lot of the season being online or cancelled, like people just had a greater appreciation for being at a live competition. The atmosphere backstage was a lot more relaxed and fun, and everybody just seemed so grateful to kind of be there. So that was cool as an athlete being there. in terms of the workouts, I love volume. So the more the more volume, the better for me.
That's crazy.
I think it's good because if they're trying to find the fittest on earth, you need to have a good variety of programming. And I think they did a good job of having some traditional CrossFit stuff in with some single modality before they started making any cuts. So it was everybody, even if you didn't make the first cut, everybody had like a good amount of like CrossFit and a good amount of work done. So even when I didn't make the final cut, I still felt like I'd done a lot of work and I'd had like a games. It was unfortunate that COVID took out some of the athletes like before the competition, and I think CrossFit did well with the testing protocols and stuff, just to make sure that they were trying to be as safe as possible for the other athletes. It was unfortunate that Danielle Brannan had to be like kind of like kept off to the side by herself and stuff. But I saw
you running with her at that event. You chose to run with her. You're so cool. I swear, I love you so much. I don't even know you. You're like my favorite athlete, but it's mainly because of the person that you're behind the athlete. That I thought that was amazing. And it showed a lot of heart from a lot of competitors.
I just think that if I was in that same situation, I wouldn't want to run by myself. It's like it just didn't seem fair. And if I'm competing against somebody, I want it to be like fair.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. Did you have a favorite workout?
I think the one that I liked the most, is in like the adrenaline and energy, was the first run clean ladder. Just like,
cool.
Yeah, just like getting that last bar, and you just felt everybody in the arena
behind you.
Yeah. And so that was a really cool like feeling and experience. And I think like the other things, like the challenges. So like the handstand walk, getting over, like that was so scary to get over the parallettes. So I was just like so happy to like get that done and get some of the other obstacles. So it was really cool to like be challenged in that way. 2018, they had that obstacle course at the games. That was the year that I had my elbow surgery. So I didn't do it that year. I was competing in the Masters. And so I wasn't upset that I didn't have that. Oh my God.
And you came back from a surgery and you competed in Masters as a consolation prize. That is crazy. That is crazy, really. And tell me something. What was the best moment of the games? I think, well, yeah, I'm going to go over it. Just answer this one first. I'm sorry.
The best moment for me competing, or like me?
Yeah, like, for you competing. What was the best moment of the games?
I'm trying to think of all the events. I think the one that I like tried the hardest on was the run and the total bar one.
Really? I would think that for you, that was the easiest stuff in the world.
I have not done that much running in my training to try and focus more on the lifting. Like if I do a lot of running with the impact, my knees and hips start to take a beating. So then if I'm trying
what do you do instead of that? I'm sorry, I interrupt you.
No, it's fine. Just try and keep my fitness up on the bike or the rower. Okay. So I probably shouldn't have gone out so fast on that run, but it was like worth taking a chance. I had to give it everything. And so if I wasn't going to make the cut, at least I didn't make it. And I know that I gave everything.
No, for sure. And do you feel more pressure in that kind of workouts? Because as soon as you're in the competition and they have a running event, like the cameras go like right next to you because it's a running event. And I mean, you're the engine. Do you feel more pressure in those workouts to perform?
I try not to like think about it because then you put even more pressure on it yourself. So that's when mistakes start to happen. So I try not to think about it like that. Just try and like run my own race. I think the way that the lanes were set out, because I was the first one out, I had no one else to pace off. So I had to go hard, not knowing where anybody else was. So it was just a risk that I had to take, not through feeling pressure. It was like I was in 27th place. I needed like a miracle to happen. So it was like, okay, let's go work my ass off.
Yeah, I got it. Now, tell me something. I saw in these games, I don't know if you think the same, that it was the most challenging mentally, because I thought that I saw a lot of athletes, like you notice the wreck that the pandemic had caused in a lot of them. And not just in terms of training, but in other things, maybe family wise, in the times that they had, in separation from other people, quarantine, all that stuff that I think it has made us all of us a little bit crazy. But I saw that a lot, which is something that I think I hadn't seen before in other games. Did you see it, like back from, from the other perspective, from other people preparing before going into a workout? Did you see that different side of mentally from the athletes or from yourself?
I think that like during the lockdown and stuff, that was when like athletes mentally had the chance to get like stronger. It's like if you're forced to train by yourself in a garage gym, or you might not have all the equipment you used to, but you've got to find like new ways to train, new ways to stay fit, and new ways to stay motivated, like to train through that time, then it could only make you then like stronger mentally, coming back and being able to like compete in person again.
Yeah, I thought I saw, well, from Kara Webb, she had like this little breakdown moment.
Yeah, I think that was hard because she had to leave her daughter for so long. And then obviously she got COVID on the way over. So was still not feeling well.
100%. Yeah.
So she had the mental drain that she's left her daughter, and then the not feeling 100%. So it probably magnified everything.
Yeah, I know. That's a crazy challenge just by itself. What advice would you give to the new athletes that are coming? Well, we've seen a lot of young athletes just coming into the sport. What do you see that maybe some mistakes that they can try not to make from your perspective to these new athletes that are coming?
Yeah, I mean, like, don't try and rush anything. Make sure you have a good coach. I mean, it's awesome that people are getting to the games at 17, but kind of you've got to think about the longevity of the athlete. I'd much rather see somebody get to the games when they're 20 and compete all the way up to their 30 than somebody get to the games when they're 17 and be like injured when they're 19, if that makes sense. So don't try and rush it. Make sure you're working with a good coach and think about kind of the longevity.
What do you think you would have done differently in your career if you could go back?
Spend more time on like correct movement patterns. So especially when I competed in the games in 2010 and 2011, like my movement was not good. And when I was injured in 2012, we like kind of like started from scratch and like rebuilt a lot of it. And had I have like done that from the start, I might not have had like some of the injuries that I did have.
What do you do when you're injured? Are you the kind of person that just kind of rest and take a lot of, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think so, but I had to ask. What do you do when you're injured?
Your rehab becomes your new like training. So you do that like religiously 3 or 4 times a day. And then you find other things that you have to work on. So like when I had my shoulder surgery on my elbow, then it's like you can still bike, you can still lunge, you can still do like other stuff. So it's finding things like you can still work on. There's always areas for improvement.
I've heard that you said that this next year is going to be the last one, right?
Yep.
So you say, okay, what's the life of Sam Briggs if she's not competing? What's that like? What do you see in your retirement?
I'll still be doing CrossFit because I love doing it, but it just won't be like my main focus won't be trying to get back to the games. I mean, I'm not saying that I won't like compete ever, but it might just be some fun off-season competitions. Like my goal for the year might be to be on a team at, I don't know, the Mid-Atlantic Championships or something. I might see a competition. I'm like, that looks like a fun competition. Let's get a team together for that and just kind of like have fun with my training rather than the focus being on getting to the games. And that way that when like an opportunity is like, do you want to go to the lake house for the weekend? Hell yes. I don't need to train for the weekend. Let's go and have some fun. It's like I can actually then start saying yes to more things.
Do you think that's actually going to happen, or do you see getting some dumbbells in the car before going to the lake house?
Well, I don't know yet. Maybe the first time will seem like such good fun, and then I'll be like, oh, we need to train. I'll be like bench pressing the dogs.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a question that I should make your partner. I think she's going to answer more honestly about that. Now
she'll probably say that I'm crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And now, as our last question, just to not keep you here, I need for you to give me a quote, a movie, and a song that for you it's like motivational, like it gets you going.
Okay, song I can do first would be it's Timmy Trumpet.
Oh, and a book. I'm sorry.
The Oracle.
All right.
That's like a good upbeat, and like if I'm going for like a PR lift, that like has to go on.
What was it? Can you repeat that?
Timmy Trumpet, The Oracle.
All right. Let me write that down. Okay, cool.
Movie. Gladiator.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. Have you watched the Peaceful Warrior?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch that. It's really good. I bet that's a movie you're gonna like. How about a quote?
A quote. Trying to think. I actually saw one the other day. I think I took a screenshot. What book as well? Endure. And that's all about kind of the like argument between is it all in the mind or is it the body that like stops you when you're doing like a endurance workout? So is it your legs that give out? Is it your mind like saying I can't go any longer? And so it's really good. It gives real life examples of athletes that have experienced stuff and like trials that they've done, mixed with kind of like the psychology and the science between everything. And I've read that book like 5 times now. It's a big, thick book as well. It's really good.
How's it called?
Endure. I can't remember who wrote it.
Let's see. Endure. All right. You're looking for the author?
I am looking for the author. Right. It's called Endure. And it's Alex Hutchinson.
On the list. All right.
Right. And then I did take a screenshot somewhere of a quote. I don't know where it is now. I should have one off the top of my head to give you.
The quote?
Yeah, I'm like, but I can't think of anything.
What do you say to yourself before you are going for a PR?
You
Just
really
don't fall? Yeah.
So it was something that I'd heard Brent Fikowski say in a podcast or something, and it just like stuck with me. And it's just like, I am the man. I am the fucking man. And just like go for it. So I don't even change it.
I love that.
I just like
it doesn't know what to say.
I just keep it how he said it, and I'm like, yep, it works.
And it's so funny that you have a quote that is from Brent Fikowski, which is a guy that you actually beat at a competition. So that's hilarious.
But he can lift heavier than me, so I'll give him that.
You don't use it to run. Okay. So thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have fun. It's been amazing. Seriously, I admire you so much, look up to you so much. And I wish that you have the best season to retire so you can feel satisfied more than anything. And you can go to that lake house.
Thank you very much.
Now, any last message that you want to give to the Latin America community that is listening to you right now?
Just thank you for your support. It's always an honor to like speak to people like you that are following me from afar, and don't be frightened to follow your dreams. You don't know what will happen.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Gracias a todos los que nos estuvieron escuchando. Nos vemos en el siguiente episodio. Bye.